Jayne Reynolds of Sycamore and Sage Nutrition is a board-certified holistic nutritionist, level 2 certified nutrition recovery coach, and Amen Clinic's certified brain health professional. She's on a mission to change how we approach mental health, starting with what's on our plates. Jayne helps individuals break free from anxiety and low mood using food-first strategies, amino acid therapy, and sustainable lifestyle shifts. Jayne reminds us, with a faith-centered focus, that there is a God-honoring way to take care of our health that will help us to show up in leadership and as the CEO of our businesses and in our homes. We have one life to live. Let's make the most of it for His kingdom and the people we influence. Thank you, Jayne. Welcome to She Leads Boldly, the podcast for faith-driven women navigating high-stakes leadership without compromising what matters most. I am Sharika Sanders, your host, mentor, and kingdom business leader. Here, we embrace bold leadership rooted in purpose, not pressure. This space is for the woman who refuses to choose between faith and ambition, family and fulfillment, impact and rest. Each week, you'll hear powerful conversations, practical strategies, and spirit-led wisdom to help you advocate for yourself, lead with integrity, and rise without burnout. If you're ready to lead boldly, live faithfully, and never settle for less than what God has promised, you're in the right place. I'm excited about our conversation today, because I don't know that we've talked a lot about this, and I feel like it's very important and something we often overlook, which is ourself. And not just ourself, but our physical selves, really our holistic selves, but just our bodies and how we're taking care of ourselves as a whole. And that doesn't always mean just being active and working out, but in so many other ways. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you, Jayne, because I know we're all going to leave just feel in our education and in our spirits.
That's what I've been praying over all morning as we prepared for this, that we'd just be able to have a time of encouragement. No shame, no blame, just figuring out where we need to support ourselves and take steps forward.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you. And I love that your mission, your purpose, which they typically are, but it's biblical. But not only is it biblical, it's I don't know, there's no question about it, I guess, because you have some people that I'm called to do whatever thing, and it's like, are you though? But but it's, everything about you, to me, just, reading up on you and what I've learned and what I've read really shows that this isn't just something that you do, but it's also a part of who you are. And you've been able to take who you are and your practices and your things that you've learned and help other women. And you made a comment, and I want to read that, and I would love for you to expound on it. And so you said, I spend my days working with women who struggle with their health and not feeling quite like themselves anymore, which is I think it says a lot in that. Too many are told that this is a normal part of aging and beyond their control. And I think we probably have almost everyone listening, like raising their hands and shaking their heads, like, yep. Please enlighten us.
Well, in my practice, I tend to see a lot of women who are sort of between the age of maybe 35 and 65.
Mm-hmm.
So we're running the gamut. Some people, even that young, are beginning to sort of stumble into perimenopause or shifts and changes in hormones. Or maybe it's just that their diet and lifestyle is not really supporting their biological health.
Yeah.
And I've had so many people that have gone to the doctor's office and they've been told, well, this is what happens. We get older. Your body's up functioning the way that they're supposed to. And, when you were 10, it did this, and you could run around and you could eat anything you wanted to, and everything was fine. And now it doesn't do that. surprise, this is just how it is. So suck it up, buttercup. Get, plug yourself in for the long haul. And that just has not been my experience at all. I feel better at 50 than I did when I was
Mm,
25, because the things that I was doing, and I thought I was doing, somewhat healthy things. I thought I was
yeah,
making somewhat healthy choices, but really and truly, I really wasn't. Because what looks like health on the outside really isn't. We have to dig deep to find the answers. It's not just handed to us. It's not easy to get hold of. The
right.
people who are interested, this is a bit cynical, but the people who are interested in lining their pockets with their profits off of what if they're trying to
Mm,
sell you are
hmm.
the ones who are profiting. Your body is not. And
Right.
so I think we've got a lot of space where we can ask God, especially, what am I doing that honors you in the way that I'm stewarding my health?
Yeah.
And what steps do you want me to take that would honor you, that I can employ, that will
Hmm.
make a difference and help me to feel better? And when I stopped listening to the world's messaging around what was good for me and what was healthy for me, and I mean, I took a long time learning, going
Yeah.
back to school and figuring these things out. It gave me a really clear path about our bio-individuality, how we're all created uniquely, how we all have different histories and heritage, and it all impacts the way that we live and move and breathe and have our being in this world. And when we can get connected with that, we often have a whole lot more control over how we feel day to
Hmm.
day so that we can show up in service and show up with our kingdom callings and our ministries and wherever we are in life and wherever we're leading.
I You said something, you said a few things, but
Yes. Sorry.
something in there, one of the things in there that what came up for me as you were speaking is giving ourselves some grace.
Oh, yeah.
So often we start the journey or we'll say the prayer or, Lord, I need help. And then we may try something for a week. We may even try for a few months. But because we don't see the drastic change that we want to see, then we get frustrated and we stop. But what we fail to realize is we didn't get to the place that we're in overnight. Like you
Correct.
said, it's
Hmm.
things we did and when we were children and in our 20s and you know 30s or whatever in earlier years and some of those bad decisions that we allowed to continue to happen. Like one of those things, I was recently explaining this to my children. I was like, people always say that diabetes is hereditary. It's not hereditary. It's just that you have the same bad habits and practices and eating the same,
Hmm.
foods that your parents ate, that their parents ate. And so
Hmm.
now everyone is suffering the same consequence. But you don't have to do that. You can live a healthy lifestyle, and a
Hmm.
healthy lifestyle doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't mean that I can only have fruits and berries in their natural form and then nothing else ever. Like it's so many different ways that you can have what you want and still live live.
Yeah. Nobody wants. Once I went, gluten free, and I'm gluten free and dairy free. And so the number of places that I go and they're like, well, you can have this salad. And it's like lettuce, tomatoes, and cucumbers again. And I'm like, oh my goodness me. Thank you so much. Like, right, the first thing is, thank you so much. I'm
Right.
really glad I have something to eat today. And then you're like, where's the protein? Like, and then, like, well, it's turkey and that's great. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. What'd you do to it before you cooked it? Well, I rubbed it all down in butter and then I stuffed it full of stuffing and it's full of covered in wheat and dairy. I'm like, okay, all right. And I'm not avoiding those things to be difficult. I'm avoiding those things because they make me horribly ill. So,
Mm.
I learned a long time ago to take my meals with me or to offer to bring the main course if we're doing a potluck so that I have something that's safe to choose from
Yes.
when I go
Yes.
to these places. And the number of times I've been told, "Oh my gosh, this is so rich. There are so many flavors. This is so delicious." Because you can do so much with all of these basic
Yeah.
ingredients without getting down that ultra processed route, which is what is really causing us. This is the new buzzword right now, right? These
Yes.
ultra processed foods.
Yes.
And there's just so much education around. If you even just cook at home, you are so much more likely to be
Mm-hmm.
so much healthier. But we
Mm-hmm.
have to be careful with those ingredients. I had a client who just this last week reached out to me, and we had to take soy out of her diet because it came up on her delayed food allergy panel. And she said, and she's doing it a bit at a time, so we're not racing into full programs with her, but she's like, I went to the grocery store and I kept pulling items off the center aisles, and they're all full of soy.
Yep.
And I said, yes, 100% they are, because up and down those center aisles, they're all wheat, dairy, sugar, soy, corn, the top five ingredients that you're going to find in those products, just
Hmm.
remanufactured and re-chemically purposed to make something, a Cheeto is really mostly the same ingredients as a Dorito. They're just repurposed differently. And so we're having to educate her around different brands that don't include those, or making food from scratch, or shopping the perimeter of the store to
Hmm.
make healthier choices, because yeah, it is kind of everywhere for sure.
I think that's something we're definitely learning more of now, which is our bodies, our lifestyle, our food choices should not be a one size fits all.
Correct.
And there are so many different things that are just, they don't really work with your body.
Hmm.
And it's not even about making, it's not always about, oh, I just have to make these drastic changes, but you can make certain small changes. And sometimes it may be drastic, but then you make that drastic change because you're constantly putting something in your body that's not good for it. And you
Yeah.
go, a period of time without it. And it's like, I have so much energy. I didn't eat my nap during the week, or I'm
Hmm.
not getting the bloating that I normally get, all of
Hmm.
these, different things. But we get so caught up in, oh, they did this. And
Yes.
in 3 days, they lost 20 pounds. And so that must be the thing to, okay, but what happens after the 3 days? Like
Right.
we have to,
Well, and 20 pounds of weight loss in 3 days is not even remotely close to healthy. And I know we're being a
no.
little satirical here, but truly people will say, I lost 20 pounds in a month doing this one thing, right? And
Yeah.
then you're hooked in, you want to know what it is they did, what's their
Mm-hmm.
secret. There's no quick fix. If you're going to do that, you're going to set your body up for failure in another
Yes.
way. If
Yes.
you're even mildly obese and losing weight that fast, then all those fat cells that hang on to all those fat soluble toxins are just being dumped into your body, and your liver and your kidneys all have to process that, and your lymph system has to process that very, very quickly. People end up getting very sick, dropping that much weight that fast. So each person is bio individual. Everybody is unique. There are things that work for you that don't work for me, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the one of the biggest takeaways from school, was asking the question, does this new latest fad, trend, or phase support my physical health? And does that show up? Can I track that on my labs? Can I see that that is supporting me? Because if it's not, am I vegan because I hold it as a sort of an ethical choice?
Mm-hmm.
But my gut's a mess, my energy's in the toilet, my hair's thin and falling out, my nails are
Mm-hmm.
flaking and cracking, because biologically that doesn't, it might support my friend Mary Sue, but
Right.
it does not support my physical health. So what are you doing to yourself? And we eat 3 times a day. Most of us eat 5, 6 times a day, of our
Mm-hmm.
snacks as well.
Mm-hmm.
These things we're constantly putting in our bodies, these
Mm-hmm.
choices we make, directly influence the biochemistry, how our bodies function and how we feel.
Hey, sis, can we pause for a quick moment? If you've been feeling that tug to go deeper, to become the wife God actually called you to be, not just the one the world expects, I have something special for you. Join me on January 10th, 2026 for Becoming Her, the Wife God Called, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a day designed for ambitious, faith-filled wives and moms, and wives in waiting, to reconnect with God's pace, surrounded by powerful speakers, luxury gift bags, amazing food, and a sisterhood that gets it. Tickets are just $50, but seats are limited. And trust me, they'll go fast. And if you're a brand or business that believes in empowering women of faith, there are sponsorship opportunities available too. So don't wait. Head to Transform the Gap, that's GAAP.com. Click events to grab your ticket or learn more about partnering with us. Now let's get back to today's episode. Yeah. I lifestyle change. That's what just keeps coming back for me.
Hmm.
And because I'm definitely guilty of my mindset recently changed, I would say within probably the last few years, not even five, I would say, where it's like, okay, Sharika, you have habits that you have had all of your life, and now you're frustrated because you can't undo or see progress in 2 weeks for habits that you have had all of your life, and now you
Yeah.
stop doing them. And also, our bodies are smart. So
Hmm.
you may take this thing away from your body for a week, but if you consistently just, oh, every time I want to lose something, I'm just going to take this away for this week. And then at some point your body's like, okay, well, I'm going to get it back.
Hmm.
So I can continue to function, and that whatever that thing is isn't going to work or keep working. And so, the people who say, well, they did lose, whatever, and I just want to fit into this thing, or I just need to lose it for, okay, well, then start earlier,
Hmm.
make the changes permanently that need
Hmm.
to be made, not temporarily, because the fact is, at some point, all of this stuff catches up to us.
It
And
does.
I think that's what, when we hear oh, it's just, that's what's typical, or that's what happens at this age and all of that stuff. I think it's more so of bad choices catching up to us, not that, oh, you're in a place that you can't come back from. Your choices are now, and I want to be like the comment you made in the beginning where you're like, you have more energy now than you did, years ago. That's the person I imagine myself as. And so for me, I'm like, if I'm imagining that, then what steps am I taking to get to that point?
Right. 100%. Great point. And those steps are not just around the diet that we're eating, right? So by the time we've been on this planet for 40 years and we've been exposed to all of these environmental toxins and the cans, the aluminum cans that hold our soup with their BPA lining, or we've been putting I just watched somebody online the other day make a steak dinner in 15 minutes. It was horrendous. It was as bad as it sounded, but they put their broccoli in a plastic tub and put it in the microwave. So all those toxins were coming out
Oh,
of the plastic and straight into their healthy broccoli, right? That they were then going to eat. So
yeah.
all of those toxins that you get exposed to over time, they start to disrupt your hormone system. And when your hormones are disrupted, you start seeing things like stubborn weight gain that won't go away,
Mhm.
thyroids that won't function.
Mhm.
And then when thyroids aren't functioning, we have all kinds of problems with the way that our brain functions, the way our metabolism functions. We end up with hormonal disruptions like PCOS that make it very, very difficult
Yes.
for us to lose weight, right? So
Mhm.
it's not just about changing the foods and making sure that those support us, but it's our whole lifestyle. It's the things that we're exposed to in the world. It's the spiritual journey that we're on and keeping ourselves in alignment with our spiritual pathway as well. It is about having pure oxygen to breathe, going and getting out into nature for a little bit and grounding and just kind of getting rid of all of this, light toxins we carry around. Our
Mhm.
strip lights in our offices and the paint fumes we're breathing in all day, or even when you wash your clothes and that there's fabric softeners and that kind of stuff that's in your clothes all day long, right next to your skin, which your skin is the most absorbent organ and the largest organ on your body.
Mm.
And so you're putting perfumes and dyes and all this stuff all over your body and then wondering why everything's disrupted and you don't feel well, right? So we have to clean up a lot of these different things. And it's been a journey. I've been doing this now for 20 something years. And we're still learning new things. Science is adapting and growing and learning and changing. So we're still figuring these things out, but it comes back to these basic principles, right? Where we need to eat well, we need to rest, we need to
Yes.
exercise, we need to manage our stress, and we have to sometimes supplement in order to get us back to more like the zero marker, right? Back to the
Hmm.
beginning, back and undo it. And it takes our bodies a while. You're absolutely right. If it's taken you 20 years to get to this space, your body probably won't heal overnight. We might be able to shift the needle and reduce pain and start moving you in the right direction in the first two
Right.
to 4 weeks. But to keep that, you've got to keep on the journey, and it should follow that as you keep going, you'll start undoing the things that have been done to you or you've done to yourself over the last, 7, 10, 15, 20 years that you've been doing these things.
Yeah. And you're right. It's not just the eating, but it's, being active,
Hmm.
resting. We downplay the benefits of sleeping at night and
Hmm.
actually really resting our body, which is biblical. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. That's
Hmm.
biblical rest. And so, and I was even having a conversation with someone recently, and we were like, "Who are you to think you are so important that you are need to be available to everybody all day, every day?" Like even
Hmm.
God took a day of rest. So
Hmm.
you're even more important than him, where I need to be available or I need to do the things or be at,
Right.
someone's beck and call 24/7. And so rest is important, but also it's during that rest where we can reconnect with our creator, where we can listen
Hmm.
and receive those downloads, where we can let go of unnecessary stress that we're not even supposed to be carrying with us
Hmm.
anyway. And I always like to provide scripture to support what we're saying. And what stuck out for me, 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20, which says, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God, and that you are not your own? For you have
Hmm.
been purchased at a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body."
Hmm.
So take care of this temple that you
Hmm.
have been given, because it's not our own. We
No.
it's on loan to us. And if you were to loan somebody something, you let somebody use your car for a week because they need a car, and you're like, "You know what, I have this other car, I got a new car, this other one is just sitting here, sure, you can use it." And you see them 3 weeks later and it's dirty. They haven't washed it on the outside, there's crumbs and food and trash all on the inside. The oil light may be coming on, like you're going to be like, "Wait a minute." And that's what we're doing to our bodies.
Hmm.
That's what we're making our bodies look like to God. That's how we're showing our thanks.
Yeah. And you said something a couple minutes ago, and then I want to come back to that stewarding thing. You talked about God resting on the Sabbath, but it's also clear all through the New Testament, well, through the Gospels, when we're talking about Jesus,
Mhm.
the number of times that he withdrew by himself to a solitary place
Yes.
to rest and pray. And
Hmm.
I love that. And you talked about rest being this connection time for us to renew and spend time with our Creator,
Yes.
and get reconnected with him and get our vision in alignment with what he's asking us to do. Because that is one of my like most critical first steps of the day. I was challenging somebody on this the other day. She's like, "I get to the end of my day and I try and read my Bible, but I'm so tired." And I said, all through the Bible, if you look and read, it's all about the first fruits. And
Hmm.
God wanted the first fruits, the firstborn, the first, first
Yes.
fruits of the harvest. And so try giving him the first of your day and
Yes.
see how that goes when you've got energy, and watch how the other pieces all just fit in around that, and how he brings people into your life that need you throughout the day at the right points and the right times, and gives you the right
Hmm.
words to say because you've spent time being refreshed by him
Hmm.
in that process. So I love that. That's fantastic. And then the stewarding piece too. I was talking with an ICU physician. She's a believer. She loves Jesus. And we worked together about 7 years ago on some basic things. We did some delayed food allergy testing. And she took what I said. She said, brilliant, took it away and thought, I'm gonna, I can't believe we went through this whole program. She's like, the big thing I took away was I need to add more berries in. So that's what she did. So she added in more berries to her diet. Okay, this whole plan. And so she added in more berries and she started taking her supplements. And then as she kind of moved through life over the next couple of years, she's like, I just still don't feel right. I'm going to go back to that information that you gave me and I'm going to pull it out. She started looking at her delayed food allergy testing and she's like, I think I really need to work on getting out wheat. She decided by herself, she just had an occasional drink. She's like, I'm
Mhm.
going to take that out. I'm going to take wheat out and I'm going to take sugar out. So the alcohol was no big deal because that was super easy.
Mhm.
She didn't imbibe a lot, but she said sugar and wheat was so hard to get
Yeah.
rid of.
Yeah.
But once she did, she said she felt like her brain cleared up so that it was easier to have discernment and connection with the Holy Spirit. And I
Hmm.
think about that often when we don't feel well, when our brains are grayed out or fuzzy, like she's
Yeah.
talking about that brain fog, it is sometimes hard to feel like we can really connect the dots or experience the feelings of being in that emotional time with the Holy Spirit, or having those moments where he's like, I'm trying to tell you something and you are
Mm-hmm.
missing it. You are missing it,
Mm-hmm.
missing it, missing it because your brain is so fogged up and clouded by these things that become habits, right? And
Yeah.
become
Yeah.
idols to us. Sugar becomes an idol very, very easily.
Yes.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, our baked goods become an idol very, very easily if we're not careful. And Lisa T Turkhurst read a book called Made to Crave. It was instrumental in shifting and changing my perspective on this, but we were made to crave our creator. We were not made to crave these
Yeah.
things that were created. And, you know, modern food processing today has made those things even more addictive than they might have been 1,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're designing foods in a laboratory for crunch and for bite and for satiation and for
Wow.
moreish. You know, I just need another bite. And in fact, Lay's potato chips forever, right? Their logo was "Bet you can't eat
Right.
just one," right?
Yep. Yep.
And yep, so they're proud of themselves for doing it. But we end up craving these things more than God. And then when we imbibe in those things, then we have a hard time connecting with Him too. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
probably partly on a physical level, but also on a spiritual level where these things become more important to us.
Yeah, you're right in saying that we don't realize how many things we make idols.
Hmm.
And maybe because we think about some of us think of, oh, idols are just, the golden calf and different things like that. But it's no, it's we make people idols, we make food, all of these different things, all of these things that we put in front of our being obedient to God. Taking
Hmm.
care of our bodies is obedience. And so if you're like, oh man, I would really love another piece of cake. I've had one, but I would also love another piece. And you have that, you probably shouldn't. We all have that inside of us. That something said, something told me, yes, this is spirit is trying to speak to you. The Holy Spirit is trying to tell you, no, stop, don't, and
Hmm.
we're ignoring that something for the flesh because the flesh wants what it wants. And as we continue to do that more and more, one, we hear the spirit less and less. And now we're making this thing an idol. And so, but a lot of times we don't see it like that. And I think sometimes if we do start to see it that way, maybe that'll help to put things in perspective. And
Hmm.
another thing too that is just in how always has been an important part of my life, which is fasting and not
Mm.
the world's way of fasting, which is, oh, a diet, a quick diet. I hate when I hear people say, oh, well, we were fasting and that, no, if I'm saying I'm fasting, it's spiritual. It's it's because I'm trying to become in tune because I need to hear from God. And that's another, if you're feeling like I really need to hear from God, I can't hear, I know he's there, but I'm not hearing what he's telling me to do. I'm lost. I don't have direction. I would say, and I would love your thoughts on this as well, but I would say to fast. Hold up
Hmm.
a fast, deny the flesh, and see if you don't get that clarity that you need.
Yeah, I definitely. And I held it in two places. So I struggle personally with something called reactive hypoglycemia, and my blood sugar will drop very, very
Mm,
low without me even trying. So if I go for long periods of time, then my blood sugar can easily drop into the 50s without me even
wow.
trying, which is super low. So
Yes,
we
it
have
is.
to do things that biologically, like if you're pregnant, not a sensible time. If you're trying to get pregnant, probably not a sensible time to engage on
Yes,
a bunch of
yes,
fasts, right? We have
yes.
to think about the right timing for these things. And also, yes. So what I have figured out that I can manage is from sundown. So I will
Hmm.
not eat after sundown till like 3 o'clock the next day. And I
Oh,
can get
okay.
about that far
Yeah,
before things become a problem. Then I break fast in my evening meal. So I've
yeah.
gone about 24 hours without, and I have some of the best breakthrough time in prayer. And it's not a time for me to just take a break from eating. It's a time for me to spend in focused prayer
Hmm.
and worship,
Hmm.
right? And Bible study and reading for discernment time.
Yes.
So that's what that is there for. But there are also definitely specific biological benefits to fasting that gives your body the ability to kick in. So we call them macrophages. They go through and they clean up the body of toxins and disease and all of that kind of stuff, they can work better. Our whole body is one big walking, talking, digesting organism, and it takes up a
Hmm.
lot of energy. Like all of your internal organs, except from your in your torso here, except for your heart and lungs, are all to do with digestion. And most of the time, that's what you're
Yeah.
working on. It's a very, very, very labor intensive process for your body.
Yeah.
So when you fast, you give it a break from all of those things. And you can fast, you can do 24-hour water fast. There are some people that can do a 3-day water fast quite
Hmm.
easily. And then I've seen others who I just spoke to a woman a few months ago who actually did, I'm not recommending this for everyone, but she did a 30-day water fast. And she was just fine during that entire process. I'm still in awe of that capability, but she did that. And so I think there are definitely seasons where we can do that and take a break to give our body a rest. And I've had people tell me, yeah, you know what? My psoriasis cleared up, my skin
Hmm.
is cleared up, because a lot of those things are triggered by inflammation inside the digestive tract. And so when we're giving the digestive tract a time to rest, that's great.
Yeah.
There are a couple of books out there that are very good if you're interested in pursuing that fasting more. One, I'm going to have to send you afterwards, and maybe you can put it in the links because I can't
Absolutely.
remember the name of it. But the other one is Fast Like a Girl.
Oh.
So, yeah, women, we need to fast often in seasons. Like the middle of winter is not a great time to fast because it makes you freezing cold when you don't have food going into your body. And so it's not a good
Hmm.
season to fast.
Hmm.
Usually the end of spring and beginning of summer are great times to fast. So, and then often working with our cycles as well as
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to be cognizant of those things where we time these things to
Yes.
be right. And there's a time when you might get a day and a half in and your body's like, nope, we're not doing this anymore. And you need to honor your body and not force it through. You talked in the beginning about having grace. So we're having
Mm.
grace for the situation and we're not going to force ourselves through.
Yeah.
And then lastly, it's really important to remember refeeding at the end of a fast. If you've gone on a 3-day fast or a 10-day fast, the last thing you need to do is sit down and feed yourself steak. Like
Right.
you are going to
Right.
make yourself incredibly ill. So
Hmm.
you want to remember and do things like broths, for the first couple of days to reintroduce food and digestion to your body. And then you can move up to steamed vegetables. Like you really have to take it slowly as you go back into that refeeding.
Yeah. I think those are some helpful tools and Fast Like a Girl. I just like the name already. I'm definitely going to make sure your contact information and any other supplementary information you give me is included because you just have a wealth of knowledge. And this is this is for that person who truly wants change, who truly
Mhm.
wants to do better, not for the person who I just need to lose 10 pounds for this one thing and then I'm okay. Because, and to be clear, it's also for that person, not, it doesn't, it's not just, oh, because you're overweight or you have health challenges, just the person who they may not have caught up with you yet. But
Mhm.
you may just know that, you know what, I eat a lot of sugar and I know that's
Mhm.
not going to be productive or conducive for me in the long run, or I snack on all the wrong things versus eating meals with vegetables and other nutrients, or I'm just not getting my nutrients from my food but from energy drinks and bars and things like that.
Mhm.
And so I think, and as we have seen, you have a wealth of knowledge, you're practicing what you preach, because that is also very important. And I just appreciate the insight that you were able to give all of us today. And really, I hope that those listening are leaving with just a thought, giving your what you eat some additional thought,
Mhm.
putting some care into the things that you're preparing for your family, because you're also setting them up for habits that they're going to have down the line in their life. So why not make those changes now, so you're
Mhm.
establishing good habits not just for yourself but for your children, for them to carry on. And I just thank you so much, Jayne. I really appreciate all that you were able to impart on us today.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And if I could leave you with one thought, I think it would be this
Absolutely.
as summing all of the things up. I've been really challenged lately to also keep wellness in the perspective that this is a tool we've been given, but it is not a God in our lives. So we want to make
Mm,
all of these changes and we want to be better and we want to be well. And healing doesn't always come. So we still need to be holding things loosely in perspective that God is still in control. He's still
yes.
sovereign. He's
Yes.
still the one who wants the best for us and works all things out for the good of those that love him and are called according to his purpose, right?
Yeah.
So we can do all the things that we are in control of doing, but it is still a gift and an honor, something to thank God for, to be able to show up with our families. I've seen parents turn this into, you will eat this, you can't touch that. They become very legalistic about these things and it
Yeah.
harms the relationship of food with their kids. And so, and with themselves too. We're not trying to create disordered eating. We're trying to keep our wellness in perspective that the king is still the king of kings and that this is a gift to be able to steward that back to him, not out of guilt or shame, but because we have a desire to show up the best that we can for him, knowing that he meets us even when we're still weak and not perfect.
Mm. Thank you. I think that is the best summation. I think that also helps for that person who's wants to change and afraid to take that step because I may mess up, I may
Hmm.
fall off, but
Right.
what I hear is this is a journey,
Hmm.
grace,
Hmm.
and just being patient with the same grace and patience you would give anyone else who was trying to make
Yeah.
these decisions and just do better about themselves and for themselves and not just physically as in what we consume, but this is really about our bodies as a whole and spending our having our intimate time and having rest and just taking time away from everything and everyone else to really center ourselves and have our intimate time with God. So,
Hmm.
thank you so much.
You're
I
so very welcome.
appreciate you. And of course, Jayne's information is going to be included because I know she is someone that I now know that you all should definitely know. And I'll just say until next time, Jayne. How about that?
I would love that. We could, with there's lots of topics we could pull apart sometime if your listeners are still interested in some other things. They should let you know and we'll have a chat
Yes,
about those too.
absolutely. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You're very welcome. You have a wonderful day, Sharika. Thank
You
you.
too. Hey, friend, if this episode stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you subscribe to She Leads Boldly so you never miss an episode. And let's stay connected. Join our growing community of faith driven powerhouse women where you'll find real talk, encouragement, and tools to fuel your journey. Oh, and I've created something special just for the bold, faith driven women like you an ebook, When You Know His Name. Discover identity, intimacy, and the power of prayer through the names of God. This ebook is designed to equip and encourage you to lead with clarity, courage, and conviction in every space God assigns you to. Available now on Amazon. And if you're ready for deeper clarity, I would love to personally walk with you. I offer a one-on-one session called Your Path to Purpose and Power, and it's to help you break through the overwhelm and realign with what God is actually calling you to in this season. Whether it's burnout, boundaries, or fresh vision, you don't have to figure it out alone. All links are in the show notes. Oh, and one last thing. I would love to hear from you. What questions are you carrying this season? What topics would serve your walk, your work, your womanhood right now? Send me a message or an email because this podcast is for you, and I want every episode to speak directly to where you are. Remember, you don't have to choose between your faith, your family, and the calling on your life. God's grace makes room for it all. So until next time, stay anchored in purpose, covered in grace, and always ready to rise. Talk soon, friend.